Hey, what's up everybody? This is Muth24, and today I'm going to be doing the first of my Versus videos. This is going to be a focus on Bioshock and Bioshock 2. The original Bioshock came out in 2007, whereas Bioshock 2 came out in 2010. This is going to be kind of a review to an extent of the games, kind of a overview for people who have never played the games before, and then also kind of a explanation of what the second game is about for people who are skeptical about it after playing the first game. I know there were some people who said that there's no way it could stack up to the original. So, basically what the story is about. The first game, you play as a guy named Jack, and he crash lands in the Atlantic Ocean and comes across a lighthouse near the plane wreckage where he survived. There's just this lighthouse out in the middle of the ocean, and he enters it and travels deep down to the ocean to find this city called Rapture. And as it turns out, Rapture was built by a guy named Andrew Ryan, who was born in the Soviet Union and then moved to the United States, and over time decided he didn't like either government system and wanted to take all of his fortune and build this city under the ocean where he could bring all the brightest minds in science and economics and everything together to create this world free of morals, free of law to an extent, and just as long as you could make your own way in Rapture, no one cared what you did. Over time, however, Ryan became suspicious of people who were smuggling goods from the surface, people who were coming across Rapture by accident. There were a couple people who just kind of were out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, just happened to stumble across it, and one of those characters actually plays a pretty important role in Bioshock 2. And he just became really paranoid, so Ryan thought that like the CIA and the KGB were after his creation, and he enacted all these different laws and put a bunch of funding into this Little Sister program, which the Little Sisters are basically little creepy girls who drain Adam, which is a genetic element found in the bloodstream of humans, and only the Little Sisters can really refine it to be used as plasmids. And basically with all this genetic modification going on and Ryan's paranoia of everyone around him, it led to the Civil War of Rapture. And when Jack arrives in Rapture, it's a year after the Civil War has started. And basically, the first thing Jack sees when he comes out of the bathysphere is a splicer, which is basically a genetically modified human who is so addicted to the atom they will do anything to get it. They'll kill their friends and family, they'll just do whatever they need to survive. And he is pretty soon thereafter aided by a guy named Atlas, who helps him over the radio to try and find a way out of Rapture. But there's also a catch that basically Atlas says he has family that he needs to get out of there, and they need to get him the heck away from Ryan. And you can tell right off the bat that Atlas and Ryan do not like each other at all. So you've got Atlas aiding you, and then you've also got Tenenbaum, who is one of the more key figures in the Little Sister program. Basically, she was sort of in charge of the atom and refining it, and over time she felt that she was kind of maybe doing the wrong thing with it, and when you arrive in Rapture, she wants you to help save the Little Sisters. And basically, there are two ways to go about dealing with Little Sisters. You can either harvest them and take all the atom they have to put towards plasmids and tonic upgrades and genetic enhancements for Jack, but the Little Sisters will die in the process. So if you choose to go the other way and rescue them, you don't get as much atom right off the bat, but every 3 Little Sisters you save, you'll get an atom bonus from one of the Gatherer's Gardens, which is the machine where you go to purchase gene upgrades. So you've got kind of a moral dilemma there to an extent. I mean, you can get a ton of atom and kill the girl, but if you save the girl and you get a little bit of Adam now and then more of it later, it just kind of makes the game a little bit more interactive. In Bioshock 2, you have gather sections, which are basically you have the little sister and you adopt her from another Big Daddy. And to get to the little sister in either game, you're going to have to kill the Big Daddies. Which is in the first game, it's honestly some of the toughest fights you're going to have to go through, and you're going to have to plan ahead of time how you're going to go about it. In Bioshock 2, it's not nearly as difficult. They're still difficult right off the bat, but the further you progress through the game and the more weapon upgrades you get, it's a lot less challenging. They do, however, balance that with the big sister fights, which I'll get to in a minute. But basically, the gather sections, you are going to have to adopt the little sister instead of harvesting her, and then you will find there's a couple bodies scattered around any given level, and usually there's more than one little sister you can grab from each level, but you can only use each body up once. So it's kind of requires you to be a little bit strategic in how you're going to go about things, but you can lay cyclone traps around with your plasma powers, you can lay trap rivets around, you can hack security cameras or security bots or turrets, and basically create a perimeter around the little sister, so when she starts draining the Atom and it attracts the splicers, you've got a way to defend her. Now granted, you can still actually fight them yourself too, but it helps to have that extra oomph, around the little sister to protect her. You're also going to gather a lot more Atom that way. And that's the one thing that I think is ingenious about Bioshock 2's little sister interactions, is that it takes a lot more time and patience to get the Atom, but you get a lot more in the end. So it's kind of the whole patience is a virtue thing in the gameplay. The Big Daddies, in the first game, there are two kinds. There are the Bouncer and the Rosie. Bouncer is the guy you see on the cover of Bioshock there with the big drill, and the Rosies are they're slightly taller. They have a more traditional looking diving suit, and they have a rivet gun, as well as proximity mines that they throw out. In Bioshock 2, both the Rosie and the Rumbler are back, but so are the Rosie and the Bouncer are back, but so is the Rumbler, which is a new kind of Big Daddy, which is kind of a combination of the two to an extent. It's a lot slower and more, I guess, heavy on the defensive side of things, but it has a shoulder-mounted cannon, which can launch basically cannonballs at you, and then he also has an auto turret, which he can toss out. So instead of the proximity mine, he's got an auto turret, which will shoot anything in the immediate area. They are harder to take down than the other two, but even harder than the Rumblers are the Big Sisters. And basically, these are going to come out when you rescue every little sister or harvest every little sister in a given area. And you also get Atom from them. Basically, they are little sisters who, over the 10 years it takes place between Bioshock and Bioshock 2, have become psychologically unstable and started to take on the role of their Big Daddy protectors from years ago. And they just go all out on you. The thing is that in Bioshock 2, since you are playing as a prototype Big Daddy, you're a little bit slower in the beginning. Granted, you can get gene upgrades that make you faster, but the Big Sisters are so much harder than Big Daddies in that game because they are really fast, really heavily armed. They're agile as heck, and they can just beat the crap out of you really easy. So you have to remember that once you're done with the last little sister gather, before you put her away, you're going to have to rearm yourself. So it's a lot more strategic in that sense. And I'm going to cut it off here, and we'll start back with part 2, and I will go over some more of the gameplay, level design, and the different kinds of splicers there are, as well as the multiplayer in Bioshock 2. So I will see you guys then.